In microfinance, basically, we're trying to provide access to poor people to give them loans and other financial products so they can use these financial tools to get out of poverty. In my experience, when I worked with a nonprofit and I worked with poor households across India, basically what I heard from them is that what they needed most was access to finance, and then they could start small businesses and use their own entrepreneurial talents to get out of poverty. That's why I focused on microfinance. We focused on three things. The traditional constraints to microfinance are number one, lack of access to capital, number two, developing the systems to scale to large numbers, and number three, the high cost of doing microfinance. This is what we call the three C's. So what we've done at SKS is use a commercial approach to overcome the capital constraints, and that culminated in our recent IPO where we tapped the capital markets. Number two, look to the business world for best practices for scaling so we can develop the systems to scale to large numbers. And number three, use technology to overcome the cost constraints. In so doing, we've defined, if you will, what it means to be a new generation of microfinance, one that uses a commercial model to scale much more rapidly than has been ever done before. I've been at YGL since 2008, and it's a remarkable group of individuals. The kind of energy and passion is very inspiring to see that. On a personal level, being among these other global leaders, all of whom, especially from the financial sector, are real thought leaders in their own industries, allowed me a platform to talk about microfinance, the importance of financial inclusion, and allowed us to sort of spread the message and get greater understanding about what we're trying to do. Interacting with people who run these large financial services companies that have been created over decades, sometimes centuries, you see from the outside sort of the fully made bank, and by talking with these young global leaders you kind of understand how those processes were built up. So in so doing, certainly I've been able to learn lessons from some of them about how to create the institution that I'm also leading. I think what's beginning to happen with the industry is that microfinance is becoming mainstreamed into the financial sector. So today with our IPO, with another IPO that's happened, you have the beginning of an asset class of microfinance. Now that's exciting because you have, for the first time, a real recognition from the capital markets that poor people are creditworthy. I think you'll see more of those things happening, more companies becoming listed entities. You'll also see banks, I think, taking us a little bit more seriously. Yes, today they lend primarily to MFIs, but you might even see banks trying to do microfinance on their own, directly getting into it, maybe doing some acquisitions. And this eventually is a good thing for the poor because the more competition, the more choices they have, the better the products, the better the pricing will be.